Hi. Ulaanbaatar, the capital of Mongolia and the most populated city of the country minus Kard people. November 2017. Allocated in an independent administrative unit. This city is located in the valley of the Chul River, at the height of 1350 m above sea level. The square of the city minus 4704.4 km. Borders on the Anak Tuva. Central. Ulaanbaatar is political, commercial, cultural and scientific center of Mongolia and also important financial center of Central Asia. It is the large transport hub. The city is served by the international airport of Genghis Khan and 2 airfields. The new international airport is under construction. The railway station of Ulaanbaatar is the center of regional and international railway communication. Tourists attract the historic center of Ulaanbaatar and the sacred mountain of Bogd Karnul within the city entered in the preliminary UNESCO World Cultural Heritage List. The city was put in 1639 and received the name Urga. The word Urga, the Russian option from Mongolian, which means the palace, a rate of the notable person. Mongols called the city Damhuri, the big monastery. This name appeared in 1778 when the main monastery finally was placed on the present place, on the bank of Tola. In 1911 when Mongolia became the independent state, then received the status of the capital, therefore the new name Nislel appeared. The capital monastery. At the first Great National Heraldans meeting in 1924 most of delegates supported renaming of the capital of Mongolia into Batorhodo. The city of the athlete or hero, implicitly meaning Genghis Khan's figure. However, at insistence of the representative of Komintern, the Soviet political figure T.R. Iskalev, earlier not having relation to Mongolia, the city appropriated the name Ulaanbaatar, the city of the Red Hero. After vote he made the speech. Genghis Khan was a national hero, but he was a conqueror. Present national Mongolia has no aggressive purposes, it wants to be released and develop independently, on a revolutionary way. Therefore the name of Ulaanbaatar will be the revolutionary name, and it will be clear to all. The Ulan prefix, red, gives to this name revolutionary character, will mean the revolutionary resolution of the Mongolian people in protection of the independence. The Cyrillic Russian form of the name of the city developed for 20 years earlier than in Mongolian Cyrillics was entered, and it led to the fact that the Russian form, on sounding close to original pronunciation, entered in a row foreign languages. Now in the Mongolia the tendency to use in texts in Russian a modern Mongolian Cyrillic form of the name of the capital is observed. Ulaanbaatar. This city was founded in 1639 as the Buddhist monastery in the state of Mongolia where the Yuan dynasty governed and was called the Palace the Great. From there was a name Urga applied in the Russian and European literature till 1924. In 1696 near modern Ulaanbaatar there was a key fight of the First Urratsko-Manchurian War which received the name Fight on Terelzi, in which 10 times the surpassing Tsinsky army beat Mongols. Fight predetermined a result of the First Urratsko-Manchurian War, and Urga was taken under control of the Empire of King From the second half of the 17th century I was wandering. Since 1778 settled. The residents Bogdojajina, the head of Buddhist Church of Mongolia. Some researchers believe that Urga was only the religious center of Mongolia. However, over time the being nomadic rate turned into the main political and cultural and religious center of the country. Since 1706 the city was called the Great Monastery. Since 1778 it became the residence not only Bogdojajina, but also Tudsinski Ambani then began to be considered as the administrative center of external Mongolia. Shortly and several kilometers to the east from the city the Chinese trade quarter Maimakan grew. About 10,000 lamas and monks lived in Urge at numerous monasteries and temples. In 1835 in the city the Buddhist monastery largest to this day, Kanden Tekchenlan, was founded. By the beginning of the 20th century the Mongolian population of Urge reached only 25,000 people. Since 1912, after declaration of independence of Mongolia, the city was called Nisleleks. The capital monastery, and in 1924 was renamed into Ulaanbaatar. For 1919 the population of Urge was estimated at about 100,000 people, of whom 30,000 were made by Mongols, 20,000 lamas and 10,000 laymen, and about 70,000 were made by Chinese. Besides, in Urge lived up to 3,000 Russians. In the country growth of art and architecture began. By this time construction of the majority of nowadays known Mongolian architectural monuments, including the Bogdohana Palace and Koishan Bags, belongs. In 1913 in Urge the Mongolia's first zoo, thrown by 1926, was open. In 1919 Urga occupied by 10,000 Chinese army of the General Zushu Zenga. In February 1921 the city was occupied by the Asian Division of R.F. and Jernsternberg. In Urge also the Jewish disorder, last in the history of Mongolia. About 50 people, or about 10% of the Jews living in Mongolia died. Was made first, together with the Chinese garrison, a part Chinese and pro-communist Chesky of the adjusted population ran. The city was left by Njern for a campaign to Briatia Mines Red. Having got beaten a row, he withdrew a division from the Kyotata highway, having left on the road on Yusu only a small barrier. The city was occupied on July 6, 1921, read as a result of the Mongolian operation of the Joint Troops of the Mongolian National Army, headed by the Commander-in-Chief Damdan Sukbator. Troops of Rusfurs in the Far East Republic. During Mana modern Ulaanbaatar was planned. The downtown was at the place of the destroyed East Monastery. On July 11, 1927, before the former central square of the monastery, the folk theatre opened. Since 1923-1924 the area became known as Sukbator Square and became the main square of New Ulaanbaatar. In 1931, in commemoration of 10-year anniversary of revolution, the obelisk in honor of Sukbator was placed into the square. The new monument to Sukbator, which didn't change the look, still was open on July 11, 1946. In 1951, on the place of the folk theatre, which is completely destroyed during the fire 2 years before the government palace was built. the next year before the Palace Ulaanbaatar's mausoleum in Chobolson was built. In 1957 near Ulaanbaatar the Heraltigut Observatory was founded. In 1989-1990, during the events of democratic revolution in Ulaanbaatar and other cities of Mongolia, there were Massachusetts many thousands demonstrations and disobedience campaigns which led to resignation of the Politburo of the Central Committee of MNORI in full strength and to formation of the Mongolian Republic. After democratic revolution, Mongolia chose multi-vector external economic policy and achieved positive shift in development of national economy. In this connection, the city strongly changed. On August 6, 1996, the mountain of Bogd-Khanul, which is administratively relating to Ulaanbaatar along with two other sacred mountains, Birkenholden and Otgentenger, became the candidate for the UNESCO World Cultural Heritage List on the mixed category. In 2004-2006, reconstruction of Ulaanbaatar Square was carried out. In 2005, Ulaanbaatar's mausoleum is dismantled. In 2006, large-scale reconstruction of a complex of the Palace of the Government is ended. The construction of a complex was conducted during the period from November 28, 2005 to July 2006. In 2007, the population of Ulaanbaatar exceeded 1 million people. It became the first million-strong city in Mongolia. In July 2008 in the city, Massachusetts, riots after the statement of Democratic Party for falsification of results of last recently parliamentary elections began. The headquarters of the Mongolian National Revolutionary Party ruling at the time was burned. 5 people died. In the city, state of emergency was imposed. Some media called the event Revolution of Yurtis and drew analogies between events in Ulaanbaatar and color revolutions. In 2009 near Ulaanbaatar the Sky Resort ski resort was open. In 2012, construction of the new international airport of Ulaanbaatar, which is designed for 3 million passengers a year, was begun. The airport was opened in 2016. The same year the city, the constant mini zoo in which about 100 animals settled down, was open. In 2014 the zoo is included in the international database on zoos. In it is specified that in a zoo for 2014 there are more than 30 animal species, and it works only in the summer. By 2013 the construction plan of the subway in the city was approved. On June 11, 2013 there was an opening day of construction works. Also in 2013 began implementation of the large-scale plan for construction of the highway under the name Tulin of a Herdna Deputy around the city. Since August 8 began constructions of the first Nebeskribny quarter of Ulaanbaatar, Hanu 2222. In 2014 the decision to create on the basis of the existing railway infrastructure of the Trans-Mongolian Railroad passing within the city railroad was made. Creations of the line acted as initiators the mayor of Ulaanbaatar, Ulaanbaatar. Ulaanbaatar. And Minister of Transport and Roads of Mongolia, Marzel Gansuk. The official beginning of work of the line of the Ulaanbaatar City Railroad. On June is dated for the 65th anniversary of foundation of Ulaanbaatar Railroad Joint Stock Company. On June 6 the Ulaanbaatar City Railroad, also known as the Ulaanbaatar Land Subway, was started. At the beginning of 2014, February, May, there took place reconstruction of already existing stations and construction new. On June 6, the Ulaanbaatar City Railroad, also known as the Ulaanbaatar Land Subway, was successfully started. Ulaanbaatar is located in the valley of the Tool River inflow of Orkan, at the height of 1350 m. The city was stretched approximately on 25-30 km in length along the river. Through Ulaanbaatar numerous channels. From the east on the west, Tool and also a number of her right inflows proceeds. Selbgol, Ulaanbaatar, Kashurgol, etc. Administratively, the Massif of Baudkarnul, 2256. 3m high, which is the highest point of the city, belongs to the capital of Mongolia. The square of the city during manner made 7,300 km. Nowadays it is reduced to 4,704.4 km. Ulaanbaatar has mountain climate with lines of sharply continental. Winter in the city long and severe, and summer cool. Osakov drops out a little, generally during the summer period. Low snow winter. Peak height above sea level also strongly reduces temperature in the city. Average annual temperature is 0.4 C. Among all capitals of the states, in Ulaanbaatar the lowest average annual temperature, the coldest winters, is colder than in Moscow, Nur-Sultan and Helsinki. In the summer average temperature is about 20 C. Winter in the capital of Mongolia rather dusty than snow. Despite it, recently in Ulaanbaatar more and more snow drops out. The coldest month of year, January. Temperature can fall below 40 C. Cold in Mongolia is transferred much easier because of dry air. For example, temperature 20 C in Ulaanbaatar are transferred the same as 10 C in the central part of Russia. Ulaanbaatar with vicinities forms an independent administrative unit. The official name Ulsan, the state capital. Divided into 9 areas. Areas are divided into quarters residential districts. The territory which is under control of the mayor's office of Ulaanbaatar includes, besides, frame of the city, the new quarters of building which also arose after 1990, consisting of mainly one-story inhabited and farm buildings and also a large number of yurts. New areas are connected to the center bus lines and the shared taxi. Economy. Ulaanbaatar is the key city for the Mongolian economy. In the city, the Ulaanbaatar Chep-1, the Ulaanbaatar Chep-2, the Ulaanbaatar Chep-3, the Ulaanbaatar Chep-4, which develop more than 85% of the electric power of the country, are located. The city makes about a half of gross industrial output of the country. Are available. Plant of trailers, group of industrial enterprises on processing of livestock raw materials, meat processing plant, enterprises metalworking, woodworking, house building, food and other industries. The flow of the tourists visiting the city annually makes about 10% of income of the country. Near Ulaanbaatar Nalik has got brown coal. Mechanical engineering.
Since 2006 in Ulaanbaatar development of mechanical engineering began and its Ulgaan Tiver company began assembly of trolleybuses. Since 2009 assembly of duobus of GE developed by the Mongolian engineers.
Cars are exported to Kyrgyzstan and Kazakhstan.
Orders for this vehicle also arrived from the Czech Republic and several countries of Asia.
By 2018, Electric Transport plans to start production of trams on rubber wheels, which makes so-called BERT system in the Mongolian capital.
It planned to allocate $212 million, which Asian Development Bank is ready to provide for production of passenger transport of a new type.
Transport. Ulaanbaatar, the largest transport hub of the country. The city is in the center of the Trans-Mongolian Railroad and Republican highways. In Ulaanbaatar there is motor, railway and air transport. In the city there is a station of the Ulaanbaatar Railroad.
The branch of the Trans-Siberian Railway to Beijing, the Trans-Mongolian Highway, was constructed of Ulanud by 1949.
The agreement between UNR and USSR on creation of Ulaanbaatar Railroad Joint Stock Company on the terms of 50-50, respectively, was signed. The train from Moscow goes 2 times a week to Ulaanbaatar. There are daily trains between Irkutsk and Ulaanbaatar. The station of Ulaanbaatar, the biggest station of Mongolia, is the center of regional and international railway communication. In 2014, on the basis of the existing railway infrastructure of the Trans-Mongolian Railroad passing within the city, the Ulaanbaatar City Railroad is created. The city railroad has 8 stations. The intracity line is open on June 6, 2014. The long-distance line is open on October 20, 2014. The long-distance line connects the city with Darkhan with an intermediate stop in Zunekara. Electrification of the railroads of Mongolia as of 2017 is 0%. Locomotive draft completely diesel.
There is an international airport of Genghis Khan and the former military airfield in Nalik, which is used for carrying out seasonal charter flights. The international airport, Genghis Khan, the largest airport of Mongolia, which initially had the name Buentuka.
Buentuka. In May 2013, construction of the new international airport of Ulaanbaatar was begun.
The airport was open on July 4, 2021.
In the city there is a developed network of public transport, including the trolleybus. Since 1987, 4 operating routes and 4 closed. And the transport problem in the city is aggravated with severe climate. More than a half of days in a year keeps negative temperature. The movement is complicated because of traffic jams. Air is strongly polluted by exhaust gases. Since 2013, as a result of a complex of coordinate measures for improvement of traffic jams in the city.
The decree of the mayor of A/724, the decree of the meeting of public chamber Ulaanbaatar Sharp 02/08 of August 22 of the same 2012.
The state on roads improved. So, on the front page of the central roads only buses of public transport and vehicles with the special permission can move.
Also all transport in the city it is dependent on the license plate can't participate in the movement on the downtown in the working days from 08.00, 20.00.
Motor transport with the license plate which is coming to an end on figure 1 and 6 can't come into the center on Mondays, 2 and 7, on Tuesdays, 3 and 8 on Wednesdays, 4 and 9 on Thursdays, and 5 and 0 on Fridays. On the days off, this decree isn't valid.
On the eve of big holidays and the beginning of academic year of the car with the license plates which are coming to an end on even and odd figures alternate and can't be used a half of week.
Science and culture.
Ulaanbaatar is the center of cultural and scientific life of Mongolia.
In the city, the Academy of Sciences of Mongolia, a set of the universities, including the Buddhist University of Ulaanbaatar, the Mongolian International University and others, is located. In the city there are more than 10 theaters and more than 30 museums. More than 20 art galleries work. Museums. In the city there are 4 theaters and also the numerous museums. The very first museum in the Mongolian capital was opened at Bogdojejina, that is at the beginning of the 20th century. After Bogdojejin's death in 1924, all property of the museum was sold out at an auction.
Nowadays Muzei treat the most known.
Temple Museum Chodzanlami, Museum of Fine Arts of Ulaanbaatar, Mongolian National History Museum and Gallery of National History. One of the most remarkable museums is the State Central Museum of Mongolia. Natural History Museum, the Museum of History of the Nature, where the extensive collection of exhibits, including the skeletons of dinosaurs found in the Gobi Desert, is collected. Important site of Ulaanbaatar is the palace of the high priest who declared independence of Mongolia, Bogdojejin, constructed according to the drawings presented by the last Russian Emperor Nicholas II. In the city there are numerous Buddhist temples and monasteries. The largest of them, the central monastery of the country of Gandantekchinlan. Sites. One of the newest museums of the city, which is in the building of the Mongolian Parliament. In there are on the display more than 200 exhibits, including correspondence of rates of Genghis Khan and Hubbalaya with leaders of other countries, maps, regalia of statesmen. Temple Chodzan of a Lama. Chodzan in Tibetan means oracle. The younger brother of the last Bogdojejin, Lubsangadev, was considered as really powerful oracle of the state Mongolian, and this temple was built as his personal monastery at the beginning of the 1900s. As even the Mongolian communists were rather afraid of his figure, the temple remained not touched even during repressions of the 1930s. Now it is the museum with great fund of Buddhist art. Equestrian statue of Genghis Khan. This statue, located in 40 km to the east from Ulaanbaatar, in itself an attraction. Under the same roof -2 museums, restaurant, a photographic studio and a statue. In one of the museums there are ancient bronze products found on all territory of the country. In another, the finds belonging to the period of 13th, 14th centuries, time of the Great Mongolian state. Naranchal Market. Earlier, till 1990, this market was better known as the Black Market, but after he was privatized and moved on, the new place received the name Naranchal. It is flea market and big department store in one. Is both open pavilions and closed. Here it is possible to find as spare parts to old Shiguli and commission things, and new electronics or wear. It is a lot of goods of use from China and national producers. Also in this area other similar markets are concentrated. And it is made in Mongolia. Sport. In Ulaanbaatar the set of sports constructions works. The majority of sporting events, including Nadam, are carried out at the central stadium. The main sports arena of Mongolia was built in 1958, and has 2,000 places.
However, in days Nadama at stadium is equipped up to 15,000 occasional seats, and its attendance exceeds 30,000 people.
Home stadium of the national team of Mongolia on soccer is the Mafiji Football Center. This exclusively football stadium has 5,000 places and was opened on October 24, 2002. Other large football object is the stadium of Football Club Erkim. On December 2, 2010 in the city the multi-purpose covered sports center the Arena Buentuka was open. Capacity of stadium -50-45 people. Besides directly constructions giving an opportunity of holding various actions in the city, a huge number of the sports organizations from which such football clubs as Erkim, Ulaanbaatar, are distinguished to Selang the Press, Horamkun and the University of Ulaanbaatar is located. Ulaanbaatar hosted a number of large sporting events. So, in 2012 in the city there took place the Basketball Championship of Asia among juniors, and in 2013 the World Wrestling Championship. In 2016 the city plans to host the World Cup in firing of Fisu. Also far. Write comments. Read comments. Interesting people will tell interesting stories. All of good mood and good luck.